In the Lady Death series, Purgatory transforms into an illusion of Lady Death's mom as she's attempting to get close enough to drink Lady Death's blood. But as Purgatory gets close enough to practically sink her teeth into Lady Death, she's blasted by a ray of death magic as Lady Death's deadly aura flares up. Now Purgatory is like, oh shit, as she knows she cannot win a straight up fight with Lady Death at this time, so Purgatory makes a tactical retreat. Purgatory heads to the edges of the endless graveyard as she's seeking a dead man, but not just any dead man, a dead man known as the Cremator that was Lady Death's personal blacksmith. Now upon exhuming his body, Cremator tells Purgatory he has no quarrel with Lady Death as she is his ally, but that's all gonna change with the influence of Purgatory. Forged in unholy hellfire, the Cremator would create a blade capable of killing Lady Death. Purgatory then sends the Cremator to Lady Death's mansion to liberate Lucifer's soul from her. At Lady Death's mausoleum, she'd be lying in bed dreaming with her blade next to her as she's also a prisoner in her own realm. Now as Cremator scales the wall, he finally has Lady Death in his sight, but before he could strike, he's immediately beat back and blasted by a ray of death magic. Now as Cremator is getting his ass beat through every wall of Lady Death's castle, Lady Death simply assumes him to be a phantasm, another illusion conjured up by Purgatory. But as they reach the bottom, Lady Death lets him know she's not so easily felled as she blasts him into a wall. Lady Death and Cremator end up outside as Lady Death is now face down with Purgatory. But as Cremator finally snaps out of it, he tries to warn Lady Death about the blade he forged, but he's immediately felled by Purgatory. Now Lady Death is hilariously outnumbered, but this is her domain, so she would summon the nameless wolves. But as Lady Death proceeds to go at it with Purgatory, she would be entwined by Purgatory's blood lasso. Now Purgatory laughs as she drags Lady Death through hell with her blood lasso as she's on horseback, but what Purgatory is not expecting is her blood lasso to be bit through by the nameless wolves. Now Lady Death makes it to her feet as she climbs on horseback in order to meet Purgatory in battle. Now as Purgatory and Lady Death clash, Purgatory reminds Lady Death that she succumbed to her ruse and she manipulated her and tasted her fear and violated her mind. She tells Lady Death that she's essentially her bitch and she will fall. But as Purgatory and Lady Death turn to clash once more while on horseback, Purgatory manages to deal a stunning blow to Lady Death's horse, putting her on the back foot. Lady Death's horse writhes in pain as it leaks blood all over the place. But as Lady Death is trying to get her horse under control, Purgatory takes this opportunity to leap into the air and tackle Lady Death. As Purgatory is on top of Lady Death, she takes the blade forged for her by the Cremator and impales Lady Death through her stomach. Purgatory then uses her blood bonds to immobilize Lady Death as she tells Lady Death she's not actually here to free Lucifer's soul, she's here for her own means. Now Purgatory has also tasted the blood of Lucifer, but as she now has Lady Death mounted, she licks Lady Death while telling her the truth is she is more to her liking. Purgatory sinks her teeth into Lady Death, and the blood is just as sweet as she imagines. She feels empowered and renewed. Lady Death feels so weak she can barely move, and she can't even focus her energies. But Purgatory makes the mistake of taunting Lady Death and telling her how she ensnared her mother's soul on the way to heaven. Now that pisses off Lady Death, and she erupts in a violent aura of deadly magic. She calls Purgatory a liar and a deceiver as she grabs her by the neck and drags her across hell towards the river Styx. As Lady Death submerges her underwater in order to reveal the truth, Lady Death learns something stunning. She learns that although she defeated Lucifer and captured his domain, Lucifer's soul is not within her. It never was. To be continued.